The woman can go make the money. Some feminist is going to comment, great, you're right. 40 years from now, when that woman that worked her whole life, when she has no family and no kids, you let me know how fulfilled she is. I'm not making this up. Maybe my wife identifies as a man. Now you're going to clip that and put that on the internet.
Welcome everyone to the Words of Rizdom Podcast. We're still here in New York. I might have to move here at this point, but thank you for tuning in. But we are here with a special guest who has flown in all the way from Florida. That's right. Mr. Austin Silver from ASFX. Welcome, brother.
Bro, thank you for having me. I got to give you flowers first. This is probably your 6th podcast in like 24 hours. So I really appreciate you squeezing me in, bringing me up here, making this happen. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you.
It's my pleasure, man. It's my honor. And thank you for having me on your podcast first.
Oh, dude, of course. I mean, the back-to-back is going to be good because I figure the stuff we talked about in my show will be something completely different than we talk about today. So it'll be good.
That was like you interviewing me, now I'm interviewing you. It's
It'll be good.
And that's how it should be.
What do you think of New York, bro? Do you like it?
I've always loved it. I've been here a few times. I've always loved it. The silly thing I've done is I've always just done the tourist trap. I just literally stay in Manhattan. And when I say Manhattan, I literally just mean Times Square up to Central Park. And Times Square up to Empire State Building. And the max I've ever got is to like the Statue of Liberty, but literally just got on a taxi. Yeah, and then go back. So I've never been to like Brooklyn, never been to Queens, and never, even East Village where we are right now, never been here before.
Nice.
And it is nice and calm and relaxed, and yet still I haven't, obviously this trip I'm very busy, so I haven't had a chance to explore, but I think I might have to come back and actually try and explore a bit.
It's an interesting place. You know, I grew up in Philadelphia, so not far from here. So I've been to New York many times. I just never caught that New York bug that some people catch. And now that I'm down in Florida, never coming back. Never coming back. You walk down the street here, bro. It's a cool place if you've got to be here because you've got to make connections and be in the mix with people. But like beyond that, I think a lot of these cities, especially in America, I know you're not from America, but a lot of these American cities, they're not headed in the right direction. Florida, thankfully, is. So I'm very grateful to be there. But for the day, fly up, bang this out with you. I'm very great. Fly back tonight. Not even say tonight. Yeah, that's how I am. I'm just same way with Miami, bro. Like I was in Miami because we hosted a seminar there last year. My wife and I couldn't even stand being in Miami for more than 2 days. Yeah. So it's just, I'm not a big city kind of guy. The big diversity, big mix of people, it gets overwhelming. You know what I mean? I'm more of like, I like my routine. I like my people. I know where things are at, you know?
How far is like Miami from where you're at?
By car, 4 hours, because it's a weird drive. You have to drive south and then over. You can't just cut across the state. Okay. Yes, exactly. But if I fly, it's an hour. So when we've done the stuff, I'll do the 45-minute hour flight real quick, real easy from Tampa to Miami.
That's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. You know me, bro. If I had a jet, it would have made today much easier. So not yet. Still flying on Southwest. But one day I'll be flying around on the jet.
I love that. Talking of, say, the journey, that's the future. Let's go into the past. Obviously, we like to, a lot of people will know you, some won't. And we'd like to talk about the journey, right? So, like, why don't you give us a little brief or maybe a long explanation of how you got to where you are today?
Sure. I can, I think it starts, my background before finance is private events, DJing, MCing, hosting with a microphone, all different types of events, weddings, bar mitzvahs, corporate events, quinceañeras, you name it, bro. We did it. And that was what I did for a long time. I actually did that while I was even learning how to trade because it was on the weekends. I would make more money doing 1 or 2 parties on a weekend than all of my friends who were working a 9 to 5 during the week. So I was very happy to keep that going for a long time. That probably stopped in like 2017, 2018 was really when that kind of started to fade away. And then trading education and everything took hold. So if we start there, I was learning how to trade since I was in college.
Wow.
I got an internship selling life insurance, which when you're 18 or 19, nobody wants to buy life insurance from that person, let alone buy life insurance at all. So I wasn't selling much. And I realized I had to get certain designations, certain licenses, if I wanted to be able to sell stocks and do other more complicated stuff that might appeal to the masses more.
Yeah.
So I started to study for my Series 7, which is like the first big basic test you need to accomplish in order to do that.
Yeah.
And in that book, I remember first seeing like day trading as a topic and being discussed. And I just went home and just started to like fall down that rabbit hole of research.
Yeah.
The first thing I ever did was binary options. This dude who probably is still around, he had like a gold wrapped Lamborghini, total marketing from Canada, total marketing, the Versace robe, bro, just the corniest trading marketing thing you could ever think of. That was him. But it sucked me in. And I was like, what is this? Like, let's see what it was. We now know binary options is not real trading, but showed me this idea of making money on your own time, not having a boss, unlimited income potential, and you could do it wherever you want as long as you have a Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So those 4 things were like why I got into day trading, because selling life insurance, unlimited income potential, it's hard, but you don't really have a boss telling you what to do. You kind of can do it from wherever you are, depending on where you're licensed. So you could see like that career, if I had gone down that path, still gave me the things I wanted, which is time freedom, unlimited income, no one telling me what to do, that kind of stuff. But day trading just did way more. So I caught the bug and I just fell in love with it. From there, stumbled around for 3 years, bro. Like most traders, I am very open about my losses. I lost over $40,000 in the first 2.5, call it 3 years. Just lost it, bro. We could pull up my Trader's Way brokerage probably still, and you would see $100 funded, gone. $75 funded the same day, gone. Another 100, gone. All in the same day.
Increments.
Just not knowing what I was doing. You know what I mean? 1 to 3,000 leverage is what they were offering. It was crazy, bro. So you're just putting positions on and blowing the entire account out, and you're not even knowing what you're doing wrong. So that was the first couple of years. I ended up finding some success by finally understanding. First, I read the book One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore. I always felt like in any industry, there are people who have already accomplished what you want. You've got to model their success. So I started with Bellafiore. I started with Dr. Steenbarger, with the legends, that everybody should be reading, or Mark Douglas. I read the books. And I was like, okay, I need to find one good trading strategy. Now my brain is starting to think about like, actually, how do we make money consistently? So I, at that point, had a course from a couple of different people. I'm a byproduct of like Tim Sykes, Cameron Foose, technical analysis kind of guys. And I started to find this one pattern that we now call the A1 entry. I started to backtest that pattern manually by hand, no coding or anything complicated. That was what I needed to start seeing some wins. That then gave me the confidence to start posting about what I was doing. Now I'm feeling like I'm hot shit, posting on Snapchat and Instagram, like, look at my pips. None of my friends know what pips are. Remember, at this point, especially in the States, very few people are trading, let alone trading Forex. So everybody wanted to know what was going on. So I started to build a following pretty quickly from friends, but also from people that never knew me because they saw this trading thing on my computer and on my stories, and they were like, I want to learn more. So I ended up partnering with a firm, not partnering, I worked for them, T3 Live. They're a prop firm in New York City here. They have an education part of the company and a prop firm. Scott Redler is their famous guy. He's all over CNBC. He's a very well-known trader. I learned a lot from Scott. They actually sent me to a seminar that Scott was holding in Florida, in Boca Raton, the first couple of weeks I worked there. They were like, go see what's up with Scott, see how he teaches. And I think, I don't want to say I fell in love with the idea of teaching traders there, but I saw the potential. I saw that if you have an edge, people will pay you for that edge. Not only can you make money with it, but you can get people to pay you to learn and shortcut their learning curve. And that's what Scott was doing. So I worked there for a year and a half. And then my wife was like, at the time she was my girlfriend, and she saw how hard I was working. And she was like, how are you only taking home 20% of this? Which was still good money, bro. Like on the education stuff, I think on average we would do like 20 or 30 grand. So I was still walking around like 4 to 6K a month just from that, not from my trading or anything else. So it was not bad money. I was a solo dude living in a small, I was fine with that. But she really pushed me, bro. And this is why a good woman will really pull the best out of you, I believe. And I'm sure you know. She said to me, she's like, if we go off and do this on our own, imagine keeping 100% of that 20, 30, 40 grand a month. Yeah, we have to pay taxes and business expenses or whatever, but imagine keeping all of that. And that's all I needed. So we ended up leaving the firm in New York, I think pretty mutually. Of course, they were not thrilled to see me go, but we didn't go into direct competition with them. They kept doing their thing with stock traders. They weren't really focused on Forex or anything. And I got deeper into Forex, and that's where we started ASFX. Once we started ASFX, bro, it just popped. Like within the first couple of months, I had enough of an audience saying, hey, we want to do an in-person seminar. Can we come trade with you and learn from you for a full day? So we rented out this really fancy country club in Philadelphia, big monitor. We recorded the whole day. We did a whole food thing and trading together. It was a whole thing. And since then, we've done 10 of them, 11 of them.
Incredible.
So I've continued to duplicate that one-day seminar model. We've even done a 3-day retreat where I had people come to Orlando. We stayed in a house together, got cigars and a pool and cornhole, and we did trading during the day. And then we had an Xbox in there and people drinking and hanging out at night. And it was just like really good camaraderie, smoking and hanging out and having a good time. So the business has completely evolved more than I ever thought it would. But the journey really does come from figuring out and being pushed that I am an entrepreneur. I don't need to be around anybody else. I need to cut my own path. And I get reminded of that constantly by guys like you, bro. The new, like, and Paladin, the guys that you had yesterday, Omar and Kyle, like the guys that I've never heard of or that I've never seen, or the newer guys, the younger guys, cutting through in a new way. I'm like, damn, I got to stay sharp. Like, I got to be cutting through my own path. No one's going to tell me what to do. So now it's kind of almost like full circle like that, where I was the one looking for guidance. Now I am the one that needs to be the trailblazer and cut myself through.
100%.
So that's kind of like my whole story. Life insurance, into the firm in New York, and now doing it on our own.
100%, man. No doubt there's a lot to unpack there, should I say.
It's been a process, bro. It has not always been pleasant. It's been a process.
It's always the case, though, isn't it? It's always the case.
Bro, the best things in life come from work. I actually remember when I was living in South Jersey, when I first started to learn how to trade, I had, like, imagine that corner of the studio, bro, and my desk is in the corner. Both walls, charts everywhere, taped up everywhere. And I remember in that moment thinking, like, this will be worth it one day. Like, I'm not doing what I want right now. This sucks. I'm waking up in the middle of the night, trading London session. I have no guidance. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it was very frustrating. But I always just felt like it'll be worth it. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't really know what made me feel like it will be worth it, other than I guess I kind of knew within myself there was no other option. I burned the boats. There's no way we're going back. I dropped out of college. My family did not believe in me. At that point, when I was like at the bottom, bro, when I really just started trading in ASF, nobody believed in it because nobody around me was making money trading. Nobody had done that and shown it as a successful path, other than like in my dad's mind, like Ray Dalio. Oh, you gonna think you're gonna be Ray Dalio dropping out of college? No, I'm gonna do something a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So I think that part of it, that burn the ships mentality, that like only way out is through, that is the key, bro. I feel like if I give any advice to people, I always tell them that. Don't do plan B. Figure out what is the best plan A and go.
100%.
That's it.
Understand there's going to be major challenges alongside that, you know? It's not like you burn the ships and like because you burn the ships, now you got the fuel to just go to that goal, you know? There's going to be a lot of hardship along the way. As you mentioned there, though.
Let's take a break for a minute there, guys, because I want to tell you about our lifetime sponsor, Smart Funded Trader. Smart Funded Trader is brought to you by myself, Life of Paladin, and Omar Agag. Just as I've taken over the podcast space, we are now here to take over the prop firm space. Smart Funded Trader has no maximum trading days. No maximum trading days. I know, it's insane. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't have to hit a target in a certain amount of time. So with Smart Funded Trader, you don't have to. You can take 1 month, you could take 6 months. It's no problem. The target is just 8%. 8%. Can you achieve that in 6 months? I think you can. So you're probably thinking about drawdown. So you have 5% daily, but a 10% overall drawdown. 10%, taking things up another level, as promised. You can also get max funded up to 400,000 with Smart Funded Trader. 400,000, and you can scale it to $2 million. $2 million. I'm blowing my own mind, I swear. So we only have 3 minimum trading days. So free on the challenge, free on the verification, so you can get funded within 6 days. With Smart Funded Trader, you can hold trades over the weekend. So whether you're a scalper, or whether you're a day trader, or whether you're a swing trader, it does not matter. We are here for every trader. Now, I know you're excited to be funded with Smart Funded Trader. The incredible launch offer that we're doing here at Smart Funded Trader is going to be 15% off. 15% off every challenge. As part of that as well, we're going to give 90% profit split for those who do get funded, as well as 125% refund on your challenge fee on your first payout. So the link in the description is below. Type in your email so that you can be the first one to know.
In regards to like, you know, family and friends not believing in your vision, as you can imagine, it's a very common trait among most traders or
DMs all the time, bro. People are like, how did you deal with this? And my family doesn't believe in it.
Yeah. How did you deal with it?
I tell them, you literally ask my dad. We should call my dad on the podcast and be like, did you and Austin talk between 2018 and 2020?
Wow.
Not really. We didn't speak. My dad is a successful attorney.
Wow.
Went to college, worked in basically one career for a couple of firms his whole life, never had a business for himself, really. He has a definition of success that is not what I am doing.
Yeah.
Yet I have made more money at my age than he did. I have more time freedom. I have more of the things that I wanted. So to me, it is successful, but to him, it is not. So the first way of how do you deal with that is you understand first that how other people define success has nothing to do with you. You have to define what success is to you. Then go after that. When going after that, you might have to cut people off. And like I said, I did not speak to my dad. But you know what I did instead? You want to guess? Podcasts. Found other mentors. I found other dads.
Okay.
Yeah. Gary V, Grant Cardone. Do I love everything Gary and Grant say? No, I don't love anything 100% from anybody. But when I'm not speaking to my father and I have no friends that are trading and I'm down by myself, I need Grant Cardone in my ear saying, get up, you little girl, and go make some money. Like, I needed that, bro. I found that mentorship and that guidance from these people that I never met, you know? So I think that's how I got through. And then eventually, the people always ask, does the family come back around? Of course. Family never stays mad at you, in my opinion. Maybe in certain cultures they do, but in my opinion, they don't, if you prove them wrong.
Yeah.
My dad will never come and be like, I was wrong. But he will be like, I'm proud of you. So to me, that is his way of saying, I shouldn't have judged you so soon. I shouldn't have judged your potential success on short-term failure. People need reminded of that, you know?
It's very interesting. Someone said on the podcast in regards to that is they won't understand your journey, right? They don't know what Forex is. They haven't been an entrepreneur, for example, right? Even though being an attorney is no easy thing. No. That requires hard work. But still, it's an avenue of which you go to college. You know, there's a route that you quite easily can say in terms of do this, and you get there. Still requires, you know, hard work to be the best at it and be good at it. But regardless, you have a route. While entrepreneurship and trading in particular, there's no route. There's like, okay, you could learn this, or you could do that, you could go there, and there's no, not guarantee, but there's no guarantee in anything, but there's definitely a huge risk of it not working out. So someone described it on the podcast of saying, like, when your family and your friends, they don't support you in this, is normally out of a place of love in terms of, you know, like they're worried for you.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
You don't buy that?
No, because I've heard that many times. Oh, your family is being, they want what's best for you. That's why they are being conservative. Well, you're a father. I'm going to be a father in a few weeks. That is not how I will raise my son. My son will understand that the best things come from taking calculated risks. And if you do fail, failure is a perception on an outcome. You get to choose, was it a real failure, like you actually lost, or did you just learn something? And is it delaying that outcome a little bit longer? So it's perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't fully buy that.
Do you feel like, though, that you have that understanding because you've gone down that path? Does that make sense? So because they don't have that awareness or that perception, because they haven't gone down that path to understand risk and to understand that to be great, it requires hardship and embracing adversity. Yeah. You know, and because they went down the usual path, they don't know anything outside that.
That's very true. But I would also throw in there, I don't think most people want to be great. Yeah. I think there's a percentage of people that do, and they talk about it.
Yeah.
And then they never get to it. Yeah. There's a smaller percentage in that bucket that do, they never talk about it, and they get it done. I think very few people understand how hard it is to be truly great in anything. And I say that humbly, feeling like there's many traders who are better than me. There's many online education people who are better than me. I look at like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. I look at those guys still, even at the top of their game, were in the gym, were practicing. Like the greatness, it's not a given. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when you understand that and then combining it with everything is risk. Like you said, some of these people don't want to take the risks. Well, when you walk out the door and get in your car and drive through a green light, you're taking a risk. Yeah. Probabilities say no one's going to T-bone you, but there's still a probability that you die that day or you get in an accident that day. Still there. So it's all about calculated risks. I measure everything in probabilities. People throw around the words majority or always or often too much. You have to be exact with your word. Do you know the book, The 4 Agreements?
Yes, I do, yeah.
One of the 4 agreements, which I think every trader should read, one of them is be impeccable with your word. Don't tell me always if it's just some of the time, like 70%. Yeah. Tell me 70%. Give me that exact probability. When you start to really think in probabilities, it makes trading easier and it makes taking the risks in your life to be an entrepreneur easier because you're making calculated risks. You're not just gambling with your time or your money. You're calculating what is the logical next best step. But back to the point of the greatness idea, when people see the workload that is required to be great, and this is where we can stem a little bit, you can go about it, I think, 2 different ways. You can be great because and this is Gary V., you can build the tallest building by tearing everybody else down or by just building the tallest building. Yeah. That is my approach when we talk about why don't I beef with Raja Banks and all these other guys on the internet, because I don't ever want to feel like I built my business on tearing someone else down. Yeah. I want to build my business and be the tallest building because I did that. Yeah. That is just what was done.
Just off your own back.
off my own back, off the people I work with, off connecting and collaborating and bringing good value to the internet community of traders like this, not the other way. Here's another thing you could think about it as. There's two different types of growth. Have you heard of Vishen Lakhiani?
No.
Okay, so he wrote two books. The Badass and the Buddha is the new one. The older one is the Code of the Extraordinary Mind. He talks in the book about two different types of learning, Kensho and Satori. And everybody listening, you can Google this. I'm going to probably get them backwards. But one of them, Kensho, we'll say, is a type of learning which is a pain that we experience that teaches us a lot. Death of a family member, loss of a business, whatever it is. It's a painful moment, but we learn so much. So the learning curve, basically, when you hit that moment, goes like that.
Yeah.
That's one, call it Kensho or Satori, whatever. The other one is the slow accumulation of knowledge and wisdom over time. Those two things together are what lead to growth. So when you start to think about it like that, when you start to attack like, how do I grow? How do I develop in the terms of like pain or slow accumulation? I group the pain idea in with beefing people. You could be not beefing. We could get out of here. I could go tweet some shit and start some shit. Boom. I get a lot of attention. Boom. The business gets a lot of growth. But I kind of tore some people down versus if I just slowly destroy the internet with my value, I will build the tallest building. But it might take me a lot longer than some of the other guys. So that's kind of like my approach.
100%. And I think doing the other approach, so doing it the slow approach, it's slow, but it builds momentum, and that's essentially what I've done here as well. The same thing where it's like, you just kept on the value and you don't know when, and it's like with trading, like you don't know, as long as you're doing the work, you can't say 1 year from now, I'm going to be big, or 6 months from now, I'm going to be profitable, right? It's literally allowing the process to take place and that momentum to build. And as that momentum builds, there will be a moment where you have that, exactly. But it seems on the outside that, it's just happened like this. And it may, sometimes you might even forget that it's actually been a longer journey, because you've lived that journey and suddenly it's happened.
I feel like that's you, bro, because 2 million impressions on your account in the last 30 days, it's like you, to a lot of people, I bet, look like an overnight success. Like, where did this guy Riz come from?
Yeah. 100%, man.
But that is not the case.
10+ years.
Bro, exactly. That is not the case at all.
Well, about a year ago, I was probably getting less than 200 likes on a picture.
That's what I'm saying, bro. So now when people see you, they're like, what did he do to get all this attention and blow up? He's been doing this for way longer than you realize.
And the main thing is that just always learning,
Always.
Like, you can do the same things over and over, but if you're not trying to learn or be better, even if it comes to social media or trading or whatever it may be, you won't see that growth, right? You might see very tiny growth at most, but the reality is if you're not trying to learn and to do things in a better way, even if you're not trying to change, it's very easy. Let's say the social media blueprint, for example, it's very easy. Everyone knows if you do some, throw some cash around, or if you have a car, or if you do, like travel, for example, any sort of lifestyle, that will sell. That will get you engagement very easily.
Because people want that.
Exactly. But words and value,
it's not as sexy.
Yeah, it's not as sexy, but how you package it is you have to be intentful with it, right? And a big part of it is just being true to yourself, I think is a big one, so that actually just staying who you are, not trying to fake a character, right? Or be a different personality, but sticking to your words and then sticking to who you are, because then it becomes easy, because it's hard to then, if you fake it online, you will always have anxiety when you're in public.
Absolutely.
Because if someone comes across you, you're going to have to worry that, they might see through my facade, or my mask might fall off, and that's not who you want to be. So I think being true to yourself is very important. And the second one is doing what you love. Like, I was making content, as you can imagine, of like top 3 tips of a bad trader, or top 3 tips of being the best trader, or case studies. But I was just making content. Yeah, I knew it could be valuable, but it was like making content for the sake of making content.
Right.
Versus the podcast, the reason why it's done very well is simply because I always wanted to do a podcast. Right. And I enjoy conversations. Right. I actually enjoy it. So it becomes like very easy to do. It's not forced. It's not. You're not doing it for any other reason other than the fact that you love it. And as a byproduct, because you love it, the passion will be there. Like, I wouldn't be able to do let's say 6, 7 just normal YouTube videos. In comparison, I'll do 6, 7 podcasts in a row. And
it's not going. It's not. I tell people with trading that so often, bro. Like, people, as you, I'm sure, know, and so does Kyle and anyone that's listening and talked to traders, they get into trading to make money. Yes. Let's not get around it. No one is getting into trading because they like candlesticks. But if you don't fall in love with markets, you're beat.
Yep.
You're not going to make this, not only your income, you're not going to make this a business. It's not going to be successful for you. You have to fall in love with it. You have to be passionate about it to the point where you can't, like, I know, so for our mentorship group, we do this thing called the Black Shirt Club. So I'm talking to people all the time, bringing them in. When I talk to somebody that's been trading for 3 years, lost money, and is still like, you could take everything from me and I'm going to look at charts.
Yeah.
I can help that person. When you're a guy with a kid and a wife and 2 other jobs, and this is like another side business you want to start, I tend to say either you got to put some of that aside, like maybe pause another business, or maybe just save yourself the headache and don't even get into trading at all right now. Because if you're not passionate about it, like you just said, it is not going to be expressed to its fullest potential from within you. Yeah.
Especially with something like trading, because content's one thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really...
But like you said, you could fake the content. I just talked to Cameron Foose. Foose literally said, because I knew Foose when he had a blacked out boat, a blacked out Range Rover, a blacked out Maserati. That was Foose with the marketing. He did a video in Pablo Escobar's mansion. That was his marketing. Yeah, in Colombia, it was crazy. But back in the day, 8 years ago, that got attention. Now, when I talk to Foose, you know what he calls that? His douchebag marketing phase. He admits it. And I said, bro, on the podcast, I was like, bro, it is so good for people to hear you say that. Because I've always known that. Like, I know I could have marketed my business with cars and fake money from, bro, you can buy a stack of fake money on Amazon for like $9. It looks real. You can choose to do that, but you know you're going to be a douchebag. That's really what it is. But do you want that at the beginning? Like, not like Raja. Like Raja, he entertains the beef and poking at people because he likes it. Like, he doesn't mind if we call him a douchebag.
He loves it.
He loves that because we're talking about him right here. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Set up the fight night. That's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That's all he cares about. That's all those guys do. But I think I'll just, like, from my perspective, if you are making money from trading, why do you need to accelerate the growth of your business so quickly that you're willing to literally ruin a reputation with somebody? Like, now, me and Raja, we can shake hands and be cool, but, like, I don't know if I'd ever really like him the way I like you or Kyle, like guys who approach this the right way. It's just my opinion. So I feel like you said it best. The genuine person within you will always come to the surface. Foose, it took him a little bit longer to be like, I'm done with the douchebag marketing. Everybody's a little bit different. But for me and for guys like you, it's always been at the forefront of what we want to build from.
100%.
Because when you have a son, I have a son. I think if you have kids especially, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was raised like, you need to be a good example for your son. My dad has done many things in his life that I've seen him do that are not easy. I could tell you a lot, bro. That is what makes a man. Doing what is right, not as what is easy.
Give us an example if you can.
My mom had an aneurysm when I was 16, so 12 years ago. She's doing really well now. She's amazing. She had a really bad aneurysm. Like, she was in a coma.
Wow.
One of the things I remember, I was in high school after a soccer game. One of my best friends, his dad walks over to me and my dad in the car as we're driving out. And he goes, yeah, I heard what happened to Carol. He said, it takes a lot for you to stay with her, man. That was what the guy said to my dad, implying that he would leave his wife if his wife was in a coma. My dad and my mom are still together.
Of course.
My dad does what's right, and that type of moral, bro, it is lost in America nowadays. I don't know about in the UK, but I think it's global. It's just, we have lost good morals. Oh, you don't want to do that? Too bad. Do what is right. Don't just bend and be broken because it's easy. Or I should say, don't bend and be broken because the times get hard. Dig deep. Who do you want to be known as? Who do you want to be defined as? Do you want to be known like we all, like, again, no beef, but like, do you want to be known as the guy like Rasha who's an instigator? Or do you want to just be known as the guy like me who has 4,000 Instagram posts, obnoxious in value? Yeah, I chose that path. You know what I'm saying? Based on my morals, though. Not based on how much money it would make me. That decision is only based on how I was raised.
Yeah.
How do you want to be known? If I die on the plane tonight flying home, how am I going to be remembered? As a shit starter, or as somebody that was really trying to provide value and change and help people? So I think it's like that. Those situations in my life have helped me understand how important morals are. And also, when you look at society nowadays, like you just said, morals are gone, bro. People don't even care about their neighbors anymore. You walk down the street next to somebody, they fall over, you're like, oh shit, sucks to fall over. Take a video of it, put it on the internet. Hey man, you want a hand?
Well, I saw a video recently, unfortunately, on Twitter, where someone in Canada had been stabbed, and people were just videoing it. You know, he's there on the floor.
I saw a video of a guy in St. Louis. They're in the building. watching a homeless man cock a gun and put it to a guy's head and shoot him on the side of the street. They're in the building filming it.
The world has gone crazy, you know, and the interesting thing is books like, I haven't read the book, to be fair. I think it's called
84?
84, yeah. And they talk about, you know, there's going to come a time where people will just have their heads down.
Yep.
And they will be lost in the world.
And they don't care about each other.
Yeah.
You know where you can find it? You go to small towns.
Yeah.
You get away from these cities.
Yeah.
You know why? Because everybody here, we're all seeing so many other humans.
Yeah.
You don't care about them as much. But just like in anything else in life, when I take it away from you, you want it back. If I take away all the humans, you'll care about the humans around you a lot more.
There's a reason why we feel loneliness, like during COVID, why people were feeling so lonely, because they were trapped out from the world.
It's crazy.
But one thing you said about the small towns, for example, is very, very interesting, because I went to a place in New Brunswick in Canada. It's called Doketown, very small place. And, you know, in that place, I saw how you could call it disconnected in terms of that sort of puts a negative connotation on disconnected, but in the reality being that, you know, people's human connection and quality of life was so much higher, right? They were blown away that, you know, I FaceTimed someone when I was there, and they were like, I showed them, they were like, I said, this person's in England. They're like, what? And it just absolutely blew their mind because they hadn't seen this, right?
Well, I don't think we're built for this, bro. I don't think humans by biology. We could get into, are we made from aliens? Are we really monkeys? Whatever, bro. But beyond that, I don't think we were built, whoever created us, God, whatever, evolution, whatever, to have all of this at our fingers at all times. I think we are evolving. Like, you know how Darwin would talk about birds that would evolve to get a bigger beak to dig into a hole and whatever to get their food, right? They would evolve, natural selection. We are evolving to become cyborgs. That's what we are. Like Elon says, we are cyborgs.
Because he goes, it's an extension of ourselves now.
You can't even go to the bathroom without it now, bro. It's terrible. But like you said, you take this to somebody who has not been around it, they're blown away. And I mean, you go back, I'm not exact, 60 years, 50 years, it was a big deal to make a telephone call and have 3 people on it. Like when if we did a connecting call here, you'd be like, Vince, you're on the phone? Riz, you're on the oh my God, you're on the Now look at it. You know what I'm saying? Probably not even that long ago. It's probably 20 or 30 years.
The gratitude changes, isn't it?
And because you take it for granted.
But you know, one thing you've touched on a few times now is in terms of like books.
Yeah.
You know, you've named a few books. You have listed a few names.
My wife will be watching. She'll be like, he doesn't read. She's going to be in the comments. He doesn't read.
Really?
I'm not a big reader. I do like books, but I do audiobooks. Okay. So I don't want everyone to be thinking I'm like some like Stephen Hawking reader here. No.
No, but it's the same principle in essence, you know. And I think it's very interesting you say that though as well, because, you know, you understand yourself. You know, you understand that, hey, I don't like and enjoy reading the actual book. I'm the opposite though. Like, I find when I do audiobooks, I don't take it in as much as I do physical books. But even then, I haven't I've bought loads of books. I have a whole bookshelf full of books, but I've probably read 5 of them. But I just stick to those 5 and I keep reading those 5 over and over again, for example. But what is it about books, like, for yourself? Because I know there's people out there who have the opinion, who go like, you know, reading's a waste of time.
Gary Vee says that. Gary never reads books, but I listen to Gary about a lot of other things. There you go. I think you got to know yourself. Like you said, I know myself. So my retention when I read, very, very low. But my retention when I speak and I take it in audio, very, very high. I've taken personality tests that confirm that. I just know it because it's true. I could read something yesterday and I might not remember. But if we talk about it, I will remember. So knowing myself, I lean towards audiobooks. But the reason you should be reading and listening to other people, I'm addicted to learning. Ask my wife. I'm addicted not to Snapchat or Instagram. I'm addicted to YouTube. History. I'm a nerd. It's aliens, fun stuff sometimes too. Not just trading psychology all the time because that's boring. It just is. You can't listen to that all the time. But I like just learning. So audiobook, YouTube video, to me, that is where I will take the most learning from it and retain it the best. Whereas if you gave it to me in book form, it might not stick as well. So I think everybody listening should try to get addicted to learning in the way that you learn best. Don't force yourself to sit there and read. Get the audiobook. Get to the video. Nowadays, you just type in a book title on YouTube and there's a guy that made a cool animation and you can follow the animation about the book.
It's incredible, yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to read it or listen to it. You can watch it. So there's no excuse. I think what I've seen from some of the younger guys, like, I always think of Paladin when I say the younger guys because he's...
We were doing it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kept saying like, oh, these young kids, and then we're like, Paladin.
He's right there. No, but he is. I mean, and it's very motivating, right? But like for him, there's no way he's read all the trading books that have been created yet. He hasn't crushed them all, I'm sure. So what I would say to like those guys is please stay open-minded. Read the classics. They are classics for a reason. how many really successful traders will reference books like the New Market Wizards or the Market Wizard series?
Yeah.
Trading in the Zone, Exceptional Trading, The Mind Game. That's a Ruth Roosevelt book that a lot of people don't know about. Things like that. If you go digging, there are some extremely talented traders that have written books.
I'll give you one. This clip will go viral.
Yeah. Clip this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Give us 3 books that are under the radar. Give us 3 books that are under the radar.
Exceptional Trading, The Mind Game, Ruth Barons Roosevelt. She is a underrated trading author. She has another one called 12 Habitudes of Highly Successful Traders. Let's put those on the first one. Second one, any of Mark Minaveri's books, his one about mindset, the winning mindset. I don't know the title of it. That one, great book. And this one people won't like that I recommend it because it's a textbook and it's long. Trading Psychology 2.0 by Dr. Brett Steenbarger. No one really reads that one because it's small print. Bro, it is a textbook for traders. Like if you only needed one, that is it. It covers technicals, psychology, every fundamental stuff. It tells you even at the end of it, 57 best practices for traders that you can copy into your own trading. So those would be the 3 or 4 books.
Incredible. And the thing that you missed out there was doing the classic, the third one is the best one. Do that?
No. Because you know what? Honestly, that I should have done that. That would have been funny. But it to me, they're all the same. They all bring different value in different ways. Like, I'm a big highlighter.
Okay.
Yeah. When I do read, I will highlight. Otherwise, it won't stick. Because I said my retention sucks. I'll often read these books and keep them on my bookshelf near me. I'm not like you. Where like I don't need the trophies of the books. I'll put them in the storage unit, bro. I don't need to see them where it's gone. But I'll keep those because I want to pull back to those highlights. Those books that I just mentioned are, ask my wife, I could send pictures. I've highlighted the crap out of all of them because it's that valuable. So, yeah, I don't like when I see the new traders afraid to read or learn. Don't be afraid to learn.
Well, I used to have the mindset. I don't know if you've ever had it in your journey where, my mum would try and give me books when I was growing up.
My dad would.
Things like Richest Man in Babylon.
Yep.
Think and Grow.
Millionaire Next Door.
Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, Millionaire Next Door. What was it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and they weren't like Richest Man in Babylon is like very small book, but very powerful in terms of principles. But I used to be like, I hate reading. Reading's boring, What happens later on in my journey? It's that classic thing where what you're looking for is right in front of you. You just don't see it until you're ready to see it, So when I started going into trading, suddenly, I'm part of these communities and their recommended book selection is literally Rich Man in Babylon, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'm there like, feeling like an ass because it's like, oh, Mum, you tried to show me, But it's a classic thing though, where it's like, until you're seeking something, you could ignore it.
It's perceptive to
it'll be right there in front of you. People will be pushing it on you and you would reject it, even though it's what you exactly desire. But until you're ready for it, as you say, until you're actually, open to the idea and you're actually ready to take in that knowledge and make those steps,
doesn't stick.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting scene. But was there any other time when you didn't like reading?
Well, I was going to say, no. I asked my parents. I've hated reading forever. I wasn't good in school either, bro. School was so boring to me. That's why I dropped out. I didn't care about dropping out. I only had 1 year of university left. I would have had a degree. The degree would have been in communications, though. That doesn't help me. You know why? Because I was
communicate anyway.
I was great at that already. And I've always been good at that. That's my strength. In business school, not to get off topic, but in business school, to take and get a business degree, you had to pass accounting. And in my head, again, I'm not a genius, but at 18, 17, I was like, why do I need to take accounting if I know I want to run my own business one day and I could just hire an accountant? My guidance counselor, all the teachers hated when I would ask that question. I ended up taking accounting twice. I dropped it twice, and then I changed my major to communication. Couldn't even take a finance 101 until you passed accounting. But I never passed, so I left the business school because I was just busy working, trying to actually get real-world experience. So, I think the learning how to learn, whether it is through reading on this topic of consuming it the right way, just learning how to learn is probably really important for people that you and me have both gone through as years go by. But if I would have been focused on learning how to learn the right way, I think that could have helped me too. Again, I said I wasn't good in school. Well, why? Because school wants you to read textbook, memorize, regurgitate. That's not learning. Sit with me. Let's watch videos about this topic. Let's dive deep on it. Then I could really understand it. So I think, that's kind of how I feel about that.
Let me just stop you for a moment there, guys, because I want to tell you about our other sponsor, and I have partnered with, and I'm very excited to tell you about this one, TradeZella. Now, as someone who's a trader and myself, I learned how important journaling is. Now, I only wished I had a software like this. Now it is going to revolutionize the trading journey. I cannot wait for you guys to check out TradeZella. TradeZella is the most in-depth automated journal I've seen. You can now connect with MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. So it's available for everyone, whether you trade options or whether you trade prop firms or your own personal account. Now a task that everyone finds annoying, journaling their trades, which is yet so important. Everyone needs to journal their trades. They need the data, but yet very few people do it. Why? Because of the struggle. And that is what TradeZella is here to fix for you. It goes into such depth into your trading and your statistics that you'll be able to see every element of your trading. If you want to have different strategies, you can create different playbook. If you want to be able to review a trade, you can actually replay it so that it will show you the price action as if it was live. You'll be able to see the best performing days, the worst performing days. The depth is unreal. I am extremely confident that even from the beginner trader to the advanced trader will find TradeZella absolutely game-changing. The level of detail that it will provide you on your trades is insane. Even things that I'd never thought of were available on TradeZella. Suddenly you're going to be able to see the patterns in what you can improve to be the best prop firm trader possible. That is the TradeZella team, and that is why I am happy to be sponsored by them. Check out the code below, Riz10, for 10% off your TradeZella subscription. The link is in the description, and let's get back to the episode.
No, 100%. Yeah. 100%. And I think a major thing that people can learn, learning how to learn is a big one.
Yeah.
You know, I think we had someone on the podcast, WWA guys, they said the same thing, like learning how to learn, you know? And it's just it sounds so simple, but it's so powerful because like people are just learning for the sake of learning. Like they're just watching content for the sake of watching content.
It's probably not even sticking.
Yeah, maybe just to tick a box, like just to be able to tell themselves and tell the world that, hey, I watched this podcast or this webinar or read this book, but they're not actually, as you've said already, learn how they best, take in information, how it best sticks. So some people will be better at audio, some more with the reading the textbooks. Some, as you said, now they have no excuse because they have the animation of a book,
right?
What's and the reason? It's a game changer, really, that one, because most people prefer the visuals, for example. So now they actually have them. Obviously, before you didn't have the option. You had picture books, but they're normally kids' books. That's
a byproduct of the society we're living in with TikTok and everything. Everybody's become very visual, and I think it has the social media stuff that we are all living through. It has killed attention span, as we know, right? Okay, you have no attention span. How do you expect to sit there for an hour and learn something? It's going to be really hard for you. So when I have people that like watch my course and think that one watch is enough for them to know it, that's where I can point and be like, this is society and your short-term attention, thinking you consumed everything the first time, go watch it again. Every person that watches it 2 or 3 times, good thing I watched it again because I heard this, and this that you didn't even say the first time. I said, no, I said it. You just weren't ready.
You edited the video, man.
You weren't ready to receive it, like you said. That is the thing. How many times will you tell a trader, get out when X, Y, and Z happens? But they won't do it if the strategy even says to do it, right? They have to go through it themselves. They have to be ready to want and take that information.
100%.
You made a great point there.
No, 100%. And what you just said there is really important as well, because one thing I've, in terms of teaching-wise and seen people over the years, the ones who have found success have always been the ones who have watched content multiple times, right? Whether it's mine or someone else's or even podcasts, for example. The way to extract the most information is, as you said, like the first time you'll take something. The second time you'll find something else that went over your head or you didn't have the right experience for, or you weren't ready for. Third time, same thing. I'm not saying here that you have to watch something 10 times, for example, but how is it a common trait that those who have found success and actually found the results they're looking for have always gone above and beyond, right? Versus, as we talked about earlier, like the idea of doing what's right and choosing the hard path over what's easy.
It's easy to watch it once. It's not easy to sit down and watch the same thing 5 or 6 times.
It's so important to do so because, at the end of the day, as we talked about being great and being the best and becoming successful, that requires hardship, that requires you to do above and beyond. Otherwise, everyone would do it,
I think what people get confused about a little bit too, we made me think of theirs, the people who are great still put their pants on the same way.
Yeah.
They just make the decisions that are tougher more often.
Yeah.
Take that, clip that. If anything from the whole episode, the best people in any field do the toughest things more often than you and me or whoever else.
100%. And it's so true, and hopefully people do take note of
You
that.
could be psycho about it like me, bro. When I lived in Philly, I used to go to the gym and I would get on the treadmill only on the days that nobody else was on the treadmill. So I could be the only one in the gym sprinting. So everybody could hear me pounding on the treadmill. It's easy to go in the gym and stand there and do this, look at yourself in the mirror, talk yourself up. It's really hard to get on the treadmill on a hill and run sprints. But there I am, taking my shirt off, dripping sweat, doing it. And I hope everybody hears me and sees me because I'm crazy like that. I need that motivation. I need to feed my, and this is just knowing myself, like you said earlier, you got to know yourself. I got to feed my ego in that sense, like, because I am trying to do something. At that point, I was not making money trading. I was struggling. I need to do something that I feel like I am doing the right thing, the hard thing, even if everybody else doesn't want to do it. So I actually go out of my way to do hard things pretty often.
You have to.
Fasting. I fast every day.
And how is that reflected on your trading?
I think it's made me stay hungry. Like I stay trying to adapt and make the systems as best as possible. I stay trying to trade better every week, every month. But overall, it's probably helped outside of trading, which then, of course, like if it helps, like in health, I think of health first with this stuff. Yeah. If I go to the gym hard and I push myself hard, I'm going to feel good. I know my body will work properly. My brain will function properly, and that's going to make my trading better. So it's like doing those hard things off the charts, I think makes a really good impact on the charts. On the charts, I do a lot of chart markups where I practice my strategy. I look for examples of entry, winners, losers. I practice. In my coaching, I have everybody set a standard. Are you going to do 5 a day, 3 a day, 2 a day, 1 a day for some people, whatever. That is one of the harder things that even the guys that have been in the program for a couple of weeks, they fall off. Not everybody wants to commit to doing those markups, but I tell them it's like going to the gym. You want to train your mind to see good patterns on the chart, to see the right patterns? Okay, you could either wake up every day, look at the live market and figure it out, or do that and also do 5 to 10 markups of your strategy a day. Over a week, how many do you have? 50. Over a month, how many do you have? Now, a year later, we're 10,000, 5,000 markups deep. Who's going to have better pattern recognition? The guy that did the markups or the guy that only trades live? Who's going to hit their goals? The guy who writes it down once or the guy who writes it down every day in a journal? It's like, I think we give ourselves too much credit. You're an animal. We are just animals. Train the animal. The animal brain, the animal mind, it needs to be very, very, at least for me, very refined, very focused. Otherwise, you get caught up in what could be, what should be. You get caught up not trading the right way. You get just caught up not being yourself. Whereas if you stay on that line, I think that tends to lead to the best results.
Well, I think it's very interesting. Obviously, that saying that Kyle said on the last episode as well is, hard men create easy times make weak men, and the cycle continues. And we've already touched on it, 60 years ago in terms of technology advancements. But if we look back 100 years, in the last 100 years, probably to be fair, a lot more comfort has happened over the last 20 years, 30 years. But before that, there was so much more hardship, so much more adversity in day-to-day life. Survivability, even in health, the average life expectancy was way shorter, We've had obviously world wars. We've had all of these things that we don't see now. And, in terms of people being able to handle adversity, they're not able to handle it. Well, versus, as you said, and I'm touching on this because of that mention of the animal mind. And so true, because that's what we are. We are animals. We have the basic instincts, and we're too comfortable. We're too comfortable. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that people don't face hardship. People don't have financial struggles. They don't have health issues.
Yeah, but there's more people today that are not in poverty than there still are people in poverty, but I get your point.
Exactly, right? But the reason why people struggle more, even for things that 100 years ago wouldn't have even been, part of the struggle because they had way more things to focus on in terms of their adversities and struggles to overcome. So things like a bad day trading, things like, even like breakups, things like arguments with their spouses, things like, getting a bad result at school, for example, or having a tough job, it impacts people a lot more. And that's why we see this rise in sort of like the mental health issues around the world. When in reality, it's literally, as you talked about, it's that lack of focus, lack of that relentless energy, that lack of wanting to embrace hardship because maybe we're too comfortable. Maybe because we're comfortable, we're very much reluctant to embrace hardship and take it on board.
I would just add on that the only reason I think that we are in this position is because times have been good. If you go back far enough in time, the things that we complain about today, I lost a trade. Like you said, they wouldn't even be on somebody's brain. Let's call it 1,000 years ago. What are you thinking about 1,000 years ago? Food, shelter, fire. So it changes over time. And that is a very dramatic example, I know. But my point is to agree with you that throughout history, we've seen these cycles. Read Ray Dalio's book. I did read that one. I did the audiobook and I had the book because I wanted to highlight the Changing World Order. His book is incredible. And it shows just the cycles that we've gone through on every different scale. So now we are at a point where guys like you and me, and we talked about this on my show a little bit, we can set ourselves apart from the rest because we are the ones that are willing to eat the shit and do the hard work when everybody else is like, no, I don't want to do it. And you know where I think it comes from that we could touch on for a second? The 5th place trophy shit, bro. That bothers the fuck out of me, bro, because this is what happens. And comments, tell me if I'm right or wrong. You start giving people 5th place trophies. Oh, Riz, you came in 6th out of 7. You get a trophy, just like the guy in 1st place. Yes, it seems cute and good for the kid, but what you actually just did, a lot of things, but one is you created a reality for that child or that person to live within, because this normally happens when you're a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You created a reality for them to live within that is not the same reality that we are all living in. You came in 6th out of 7, you're a loser. You're not a winner by any standard of anything other than your parent and society telling your parents to tell you you're a winner. That stems into a lot of the issues we're seeing today.
Yeah.
The issues we see are because everybody feels that they're entitled to win without work. That is the problem. You only deserve the win, and it only feels good if you put in the work. Whenever you win without work, what's the first thing you think? So it's going to get pulled from me. This is a joke. I'm getting played. I'm getting punked. But when you worked for it, not only is no one taking it from you, you know it's yours. You're confident that even if you did take it from me, I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
Because you already put in the work. You already have those skills. I'm very passionate about that because I hate, as I'm about to be a father, I hate the people that baby their kids and tell them, you're a winner, Jimmy. You're a winner. No, you're not. And guess what? None of us are winners all the time. This is where sports and trading go hand in hand. If you've played sports, I think there's 3 careers that do really well with trading. Sports, the service, the military, and doctors. I've seen a lot of doctors do well. Some do well, some I'm sure don't, but I'm just being general. But the reason I think sports and athletes comes into trading, who has played sports and won every single game since they were 9? Nobody. You had to learn how to lose your whole life. I got really triggered this past week, bro. I saw somebody telling me, this new trading education company, they're saying is we don't take losses.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is literally the opposite. I don't like, bro, when people say technical indicators don't work, I don't get too triggered. I'm like, it's just disinformation. You don't know how to use them. I'm not going to change the world, blah, blah, blah. But that bothers me so much because it's actually the best losers are the best traders. And I think a lot of that comes from sport. In sports, like look at Conor McGregor. Even after taking losses and now becoming pretty wealthy. I mean, now he's not fighting, but before, a couple of years ago, even after his big wins, he still kept fighting. But what happened? He got rich, he stopped, that hunger was gone. Yeah. He got complacent. So I really think that all of that coming together, the sports, the 5th place trophies, if you go about it by raising your kid the right way, you can actually build a tough man in these easy times, to tie it to our bigger point here. And our parents did a good job. Guys like you and me. I don't know Kyle well enough yet to tell if that's true. But no. I think that we need, and I said this to you on my show, guys like you and me need to have more kids, bro. We are the ones that need to, hey, you lost? Good. I'm glad you're crying about it. I cried about losses in my life. What are you going to do? My son's name is Leo. Leo, what are you really, I'm going to tell him, what are you going to do? Are we going to cry about it and be done? Or are we going to double back down and figure out how are we going to get better? Isn't it much more fun to think, how can we get better rather than, are we done or are we going to still keep going? Done isn't even a question. Of course we're not done. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep getting better. I'm very passionate about that, probably because I'm a big athlete. I've been sports my whole life, but also because I'm going to have a kid. So like together, like if people would just, I think, get comfortable losing and get comfortable doing hard things, their trading would get a lot better. As I know, we're probably going to get into some strategy and stuff. I mean, bro, I think that's why I'm successful in trading. I never will say I'm the best trader, the biggest trader. That is not what I'm in trading to do. I'm in trading to make enough money to just live a decent life without somebody telling me what to do, like I said at the beginning. But where I will tell people, I will outwork you. I am that Will Smith quote where he was on Oprah and he said, we go on a treadmill together?
Yeah.
I'm not getting off that treadmill first. I'm just not. That's the work ethic you need.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You have to back yourself, and you have to have that relentless nature to you. And if you don't, you can't expect to, do better than anyone else. And it's not like you're comparing to anyone else. It's just like you're wanting to be the best version of yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Did you see that fight last weekend, Ryan Garcia and...
I didn't watch it live.
I didn't watch it live either. But like up to that fight, what were they both doing? talking their shit, bro. Talking their shit, like getting hyped up, like blah, blah, blah. But after the fight, what's up? Respect, handshake. Ryan and him get phone numbers. Ryan's like, maybe we'll run it back. You know, I'm respectful. That's handling loss as well. You know what Ryan's doing? Ryan's in the gym, bro. Ryan ain't posting about it on Instagram, but he's in the gym. Yeah, that's that kind of guy. That's the kind of guy you got to be as a trader.
That's it, yeah.
Take the licks, but quitting is not an option.
Yeah, 100%. And as we transition into talking about more the trade talk, I know you touched on obviously, you know, having the son, and you've touched on your partner as well, and you already alluded to it, but having, you know, a powerful partner in your life and what that can do for you. What's it done for you?
She's gonna laugh when you call her a partner, because she knows I hate it when people, because she's my wife. So I'm used to a wife. Or
the reason why I say partner is just because I'm alluding to the same for women,
for sure.
If they have a husband,
yeah.
But like, I just find it long doing like husband or wife. And,
yeah.
But you're right though. Yeah, your wife.
Maybe my wife identifies as a man.
No, that's not.
Now you're gonna clip that and put that on the internet.
Yeah.
But
she's gonna kill you when you get home.
She'll think it's funny. She'll be like, "Oh, you good? You used me for a nice viral clip." My wife and I have had a very good relationship. We've been together for almost 5 years. She knows how to challenge me. She has learned, and that was not something she needed to learn. She knew how to challenge me. It's her personality. She's very aggressive and stubborn in some ways, but in a good way. She has learned how to be an extremely great, like, feminine partner. When I met her, she was very in her masculine. I got to be a boss bitch. She was working at the same financial job that I was at, in the same internship. She was very much about, like, I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to get my money, which is what society is programming women to think today, which I don't like at all. Women have the most important job in the world, being a mother. Straight up, there's no conversation. If you've had a child, I haven't even had the kid yet. I just go to birthing classes, and I'm seeing the thing grow. What is more important than having more children, than her reproducing and keeping the human species alive? So first is, like, me and her got on the same page of, like, understanding that is the job. We both knew we wanted to work with our significant other. So that was another box that she checked. She wanted to be in business with her partner. I wanted to be in business with my partner. Done. She had to learn, so I'm giving her what she already was good at. She had to learn how to be more feminine, meaning I'm going to be the breadwinner, but I need you to do other things, like laundry and making the house clean and taking care of these other things, getting the cleaning lady to come over. Small little things that I like. I trade better. I tell her when the cleaning lady comes, the house is clean, the toilet paper's folded like we're at a hotel. I like, it's bougie, but I don't buy watches. I want experiences.
Yeah.
That is an experience for me. So my wife has gotten really good at creating a house, not just a place where we live, like a home. And she's gotten very feminine. She'll cook dinners now more than she ever will. She does the right things as I want my mother of my children to do. She's not out there thinking, I need to make money for us. No, like, that's not what I ever would think a woman's job is to do. I was not raised in this, like, my dad's Jewish, my mom is Italian, she converted. So I'm not raised in some, like, man goes and works in the coal mine and mom stays home. Like, that's not the traditional thing I was brought up in. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was an attorney. So that is the archetype that I am raised within and looking at. But my wife was not. So she had to be taught, in a way, through conversations and through experiences with me over the last couple of years. And she'll admit all of this. Like, she's not going to be mad at me for saying this at all. But that's how she's helped to really compliment me, is like, she grew into her feminine. I've grown into my masculine. I sucked at trading when she met me 5 years ago. Now, nowhere near as much money was made. I was just probably breaking even at that point, like just making some of the money back I had lost. She saw the potential. She knew I was going to figure it out. Either she knew or she just believed that I would figure it out. You know, she hoped that she would be right. So I think having that partner that can get on the same page at the beginning, but then grow with you, evolve with you. As I've evolved into a better man, now going to be a father, she's evolved into an amazing wife and an amazing mother. So I think that's the key, not staying rigid, because things are going to change. I'm sure you would agree, right?
No, 100%. And in regards to, like, having that partner, the responsibility, you know, when you have those defined roles as well. And at the end of the day, obviously, people have their opinions. I know that society nowadays has a certain narrative is trying to push.
Don't even get me started, bro. The man shouldn't be making the money. The woman can go make the money. Some feminist is going to comment. Great, you're right. 40 years from now, when that woman that worked her whole life in a career, when she has no family and no kids, you let me know how fulfilled she is. I'm not making this up. This is what we're seeing. The women that were told 10, 15 years ago to be bosses now have no kids and no family, and they are unfulfilled. Andrew Tate says, he's like, I met this one grandmother who had all their family around. There's like 70 people at this party.
All came from one.
All came from one. And what did they ask her? Not, what CEO were you? What company did you work for? No. whose was the first kid, and then who. They want to know about the family. It's so much more important than the actual job she did. But for a man, I do believe we are defined as the value and the role that we bring into the world. A woman's responsibility to me is to keep that family together. My job is to go hunt and kill. Her job is to keep everybody alive.
That's a powerful thing.
Another clip.
That was a good one. Yeah, no, 100%. But the thing is, what's interesting is I feel like the narrative that people try to have when people explain in this way, or they believe they have their sort of values aligned in that way. You know, the woman has the role, the man has the role. Doesn't mean there can't be overlaps, and it doesn't mean that everyone is the same, of course. But in terms of like the masses, that's pretty much how it's worked and how we've gotten to this far. However, what's interesting is a lot of the time people try and create the narrative when you have those values that, you're trying to say that the woman has to be a stay-at-home mom and has to be a housewife, right? And they put a negative spin on that. Now, in my opinion, that's one of the hardest things you can do.
It is the hardest thing.
Yeah. And like, if anything, it's easier for us to go out and work.
It's easier to go out and work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
raising a family is hard.
Yeah, and people think that you're trying to enslave this lady, enslave this woman, and hold her back, when in reality you're asking her to do the harder job.
Yes, people don't. This is the problem, because if she does her job right, those kids are not raised like pussies. They're raised to be what I call normal people. They understand trials and tribulations. They don't think everything is a flower and everything is going to be easy. Life is not easy. Just because it has been does not mean it is. So I think that if she does her job right, it is just as important as the man's who is going and making sure that the bills are paid. This is just society we live in. You take money away, men are going to go and hunt and bring in the food. This is what has been going on. I'll just tell everybody this. If you don't like my opinion, which I'm sure most people probably do, but there will be people that don't agree with me, go watch, I think it's like Survivor season 20-something. It's men versus women. Watch how quickly the women go and join the men's camp. It takes like 2 days. They can't start a fire. They can't keep dry. They got no food. The men are literally in the episode partying, bro. All the boys with their shirts off. They're like, yeah, we got this. They got fire going, shelter. They're chilling, bro. You take all of this other societal bullshit away, we will go back to our original roles. The women that are the pink-haired feminist women that are like, I'm going to have a job and be independent, they will go back to the man and he will get her food. If we stripped all of the niceties that we have in society away.
100%. And the interesting thing about society is, don't get me wrong, there are people who are forced into the roles of the women having to work and the men having to work because of the pressures of life, and finances. So it's not like everyone is purposely making this choice not to be at home or not to raise the kids themselves. I'm sure there's people out there. I know people in my family, for example, who want to be at home with the kids, but they have no choice. And I feel sorry for them. And then that's where you realize how the system is. But equally, that's where if we look at that example, that's where I believe the man has to, and that's where the hardship of the man comes in terms of, you taking that responsibility of doing more and going above and beyond and embracing adversity so you can change that situation.
You are never stuck. Like you just said, you can always change it.
Yeah.
The man can change it and level up so the woman has enough money to not work. The woman can get a new man. Imagine that.
This is true. Yeah, this is true.
A woman can also take courses and learn new skills. I've had many women that I know that run great part-time businesses, bring in another $2, $3, $4 a month for their family, covers their expenses or whatever, right?
100%.
You can learn how to do that. It's when you become stuck here that everything else out here starts to fall apart and you feel like you have no control.
I think it's all about being content, because at the end of the day, even like my mum, for example, my dad passed away when I was younger.
Right.
So she had no choice, right? Well, she could have easily chosen to remarry or anything like that, but she chose to do things independently and to raise us, as well as building, having a job in the law profession, actually an attorney as well, and then also like building a real estate, nest, and a pot, if you will, and she did it, so people can do it. It's
100%.
But notice how she did both.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I didn't neglect one side.
No.
Both. And to be honest with you, like, she struggled later in life, like over recent years, feeling like she let us down because of choosing to do these different paths, right?
Which kind of goes to my point of, like, at the end of life, family is all the women will ever
exactly, yeah. And it's very, very interesting because she did those things successfully, as well as raising us successfully, I would say. And but yeah, she still questions. Yeah, exactly. But she questions herself. She questions, like, did I do this right?
So will you. So will I. That's old age. If you would, like you said, contentment is one of, that's a Stoic philosophy. The contentment is what will allow us to find happiness. Happiness is not given. We love the sirens. That's
Yeah,
like my house, bro.
They're coming for you.
Yeah, no, they're coming for me. The happiness is not a given. It's not like one day you wake up and you're just like, oh, I got this letter in the mail. Now I'm happy. It comes from within, which we don't need to go down the stoicism rabbit hole, but like contentment and gratitude can lead to happiness. What happens later in life, my dad is going through it, has gone through it. You start to regret. I shouldn't have done this surgery. I should have gone to this college instead of this college. That is the one way and easy route to I think, really like a disappointing life. When you live in regret, you are not living through the emotions that I believe life should be lived through. Life is meant to be present. You cannot change what's in the past. All we have control over is what's in the future. What emotions are contentment and gratitude? To me, they are present or future emotions. What emotions are anger and frustration? Normally about things in the past.
Yeah.
So when you really break down those, like, where do the emotions I'm allowing myself to feel, where do they take me? Forward or backward? Forward emotions are happiness, contentment, gratitude, excitement about like your work and things like that. Regret, sadness, depression, jealousy, envy, greed. They are negative past emotions. Yeah. You're greedy about what somebody already did. Or already has accomplished and they already have achieved. You're jealous of that. You don't need any of that. I actually believe that gives you sickness. I believe that those negative emotions will lead to cancer.
Build up.
Yeah, they build up inside you. I really, really believe that.
It's very, very interesting. And one thing I will say, just before we move on to the next topic, is like, there are obviously a lot of female investors and traders. And at the end of the day, I believe in the society we live now, in terms of being your own boss and having access to these what people call like Wi-Fi money, if you will, such as like trading or drop shipping and stuff. These are the things that people with both genders can do these things because they don't require, obviously the skill set itself takes time to learn, but they are things that can be more hands-off. You could be a trader and a mom, right? I know some, and they crush it. And so that's not taking away from them in terms of having these roles. But yeah, so I don't feel like out there, if you are a female trader, that we're saying that you can't, because the beauty with the way that society has moved and the way that technology has moved, being able to trade or drop ship or copyright or do social media agency, for example,
marketing.
Yeah, like these things allow you to have little time, high reward, and give you time freedom. So
well, I was going to add to that just before we go to the next thing. Women have wanted the right to work. Women have wanted the women's rights. They want the right to do things because they didn't have it. As humans, we always want what we don't have. But does getting it always lead to the best outcome? No, I don't believe so. Just because you want something and then get it doesn't mean you should have wanted it in the first place. I think that society has programmed women in a way to want things that sometimes, not all things, but some of them break up the family unit, which leads to the deterioration of our ability as children to then grow into a really functioning and profitable and value-based adult. So I think it is the breakdown of the family unit that has caused all of what we talked about today already, the moral breakdown in society. That's just taking the family unit and breaking it apart.
100%. Equally though, because we talked on the woman's side, equally, and we'll do this as our last point on this subject. Equally though, on the male side, was society pumping towards us? Like, Andrew Tate has some good points in terms of, what it takes to be a man. However, what I don't agree with, and I think he's created this quite, I don't say dangerous, but I think negative sort of notion of men just sleeping around. Like, you have your wife at home and then you can just go have multiple partners because you're a man and you're providing value and and I think that's dangerous to the family unit as well.
Very dangerous to the family. If anything you do a lot of, if you sleep with a lot of women, how valuable are your balls? Not that valuable, bro. Just being honest. It's just it. If everybody can have a piece of the cake, does anybody even want it anymore? So, and cake, nice little reference for butt about that. But I'm being honest.
But it's interesting though, because also you're taking in all this energy. You're taking
and transferring it. You're giving your own energy to someone else. Yeah,
and it's very dangerous.
And when you value it, I'll speak on my own personal. I've been sexually with had sex with less than 10 girls my whole life. The people who I'm now my adult friends, seeing me have a kid and have a very stable, profitable, successful relationship. All of my friends that don't have any kids are all the guys that have slept with 5 times as many girls as me. Not saying one is right or wrong. I was raised, like I've already talked about today, my morals, my father. My dad always warned me, you sleep around, they'll say you raped them. They'll say you do all these. You don't want to run yourself into that risk. Save it for somebody that you really care about. Now, of course, there's been some times where I thought I really cared about that girl. she is not the girl that's around anymore, or maybe some alcohol and some other things influenced me to care a little bit more about that girl at that moment. And that might have not been the best decision. But the idea that keeping certain aspects of your heart, like your love, your capacity, protecting that increases its value. It will make, like, if I talked to like my nephew, he just started university at Tampa. I'm like, bro, I know you're like, he's such a good looking guy, blonde hair, surfer dude, skinny, like athletic, like he's pulling girls, bro. I said to him, like, bro, just don't do coke, number one, because coke's got fentanyl in it. We don't want you, none of that. Do anything else you want to do, just no cocaine, and don't sleep around with every girl you see. I said, I'm like, bro, you want to really run the school? Make them all want you. Dan Bilzerian says that. Dan doesn't go chasing girls. He waits for the girls to chase him. So I think it's that kind of idea of like, I don't need her. Guys are just desperate, bro. So guys will just sleep with any girl nowadays. That's not the right way to live. It's just, it's so deep, bro. There's so many layers to like the energetic, like you said, the energetic decomposition of what happens to you when you do that.
Because even on the male side, like, same thing when you're not motivated or driven to be the best version of yourself. And this goes for both sides, to be fair. But especially with like what we're seeing with males nowadays is that they obviously have the sky high depression and mental health issues. And, unfortunately, they're getting this two narratives. One saying, hey, be an alpha and go out there and spread your seed and just be everywhere and take all this energy transfer and, be this alpha male, right? Versus the opposite of that. While someone's saying that on one side, they're also ripping into the other side saying that you're a beta male who plays video games and does this, does that. And yet there's no just focus on saying, hey, just, there's, in essence, there's like, they're trying to put a good message surrounded with all this sort of like hatred and putting two sides against each other and stuff. But in reality, it should be, why should you want to be the best version of yourself? What is beneficial of you becoming better? Putting focus on, growing as an individual, putting focus on maybe looking after your health, not spending too much time playing video games, not spending too much time partying and doing drugs, for example, not spending too much time, basically not embracing adversity, So equally on the one side, when we talk about the females, we talk about the males as well, and everyone has a role to play and everyone has to be the best version of themselves. And I think it does come down to what we talked about earlier of knowing yourself, When you know yourself, you know what your values are. There will be the women whose values are in line with business, right? And they are entrepreneurs through and through, because that's in DNA, right? Male and female. If you want to be an entrepreneur, that's in your DNA, right? If you're allowing society to tell you, you need to do this, that's different, right? And you don't know yourself then you're just listening to this narrative.
They're sheep.
Yeah. Same on the male side, right? If you allow the narrative to tell you, you need to go and be this alpha male who goes and does X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Versus, if you allow yourself to just be lazy and you're capable of more, but you just give in to the easy route. So again, it's not being your true potential. That's what matters most.
Matters the most.
But in regards to trading, we've gone through some different topics. No. But to lead it to trading, though, you've mentioned obviously having that powerful partner has helped you. And what in regards to your trading journey, what did that do for you in terms of having someone who believed in you and leading into the trading? Then what was that journey like of essentially going through those levels?
Sure. I should say my wife does work. She works like 3 hours a month. She does our bookkeeping. She does QuickBooks for our business. So my wife is very tapped in with our finances. Me and her have always shared money. I've never felt it's like this with the girls I was with before. Like, you should know where I'm at, so you don't expect any more than I can give. That's really it. So with her being on the same page as like where we are with money, it's helped. Well, and especially now, it helps me not get a little too crazy in spending. Because I like new shoes sometimes and shit like that. Spending money like on flights and stuff, like experiences, not material things. So she'll reel me in on that. But back in the day, especially, bro, when I was just blowing accounts, because she was with me when I was kind of, I would say, coming out of the phase of the consistent blown accounts, like just giving money back, right? Having her there and having this other person there that was like, did you blow your account today? How did you trade today? That made a big difference, bro. So just having someone that was like non-judgmental, asking, how are you doing, helped me a lot, And when she would see certain things like, okay, he had a bad day today. Well, what else happened? She started to understand how important like my routine and my other habits are and things like that, like working out, not staying up late, not drinking, not doing those things, So she started to see like what made me perform my best. And now she will feed into that. She doesn't make plans for me on Sunday afternoons. She won't ask me to do certain, like just little things. I could give you a couple little examples, but like she will now push me in that direction. Whereas before, it's like she was like learning me and learning how to feed.
I mean, that's how every great relationship is, isn't it? You know, you may get married, you may have a partner, and you may be together for years, but all you're essentially doing is like you're back testing, you're collecting that data on each other. And that's the difference when you have like a very solid relationship, is that, you know, the longevity comes from, you still have arguments, you'll still have things that really annoy each other and stuff, but you will learn those patterns if you're willing to be aware of them, right? And I think what's dangerous, and I've been, you know, guilty of this as well, is where you aren't putting focus on what each other are doing. It's very easy then not to pick up on those. Yeah, you don't pick up on those things.
Up in your own.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's where resentment builds, you know?
And I think this is a really good topic just for a second. A lot of guys nowadays just don't know how to love women. They just see women for sex. Women don't see sex physically. Women unless they just like getting plowed like a porn star, which is not most women. Women see sex as a mental thing. They want to feel loved, feel seen, feel heard. They want to be touched and seduced in a way that is like safe, that makes them feel
intimate
and appreciated. Well, a lot of men don't look at women that way. I think porn is a part of that. Like porn has messed up a lot of guys' brains. And like when they see a woman, they just look at her tits. They don't look at her eyes. That's porn. So I think that has made men not know how to love their woman. When you know how to love a woman, she will die for you. That's it. Like that is the truth. If you figure out, and it has nothing to do with how many fingers you fit in there, when you figure out how to really make her feel loved, bro, she will do anything for you. Anything.
Same on the flip side as well.
Same on the flip side. Oh my God, bro. When my wife does the little things that have nothing to do with sex, but that make me feel loved, that we're on the same path together, sex is what? I mean, for me, like 30 seconds, but maybe for you, like 2 minutes. Sex is a very small piece of your relationship. So someone's going to clip that and make fun of me, but it's all right.
I'm going to put it on the trailer.
You should. So I think that because sex is such a small piece, when you find someone that knows how to make you feel loved in other ways, like for me as a man, I do think of myself as an alpha. When I feel loved, that means we are going in the same direction. Yeah. My effort and my work is appreciated, respected, and we're going together in the right direction. That's all that a man really needs. Men want to feel respected. Men want to feel that they have control when they need to. If a woman can give a man that, and a man can give a woman the things that she needs, the relationship can be very successful, and they feed each other. The man becomes the best version of himself, like you have, and the woman becomes the best version of herself.
100%. And it's like a chapter from Think and Grow Rich, the sex transmutation.
Remind me.
Napoleon Hill, essentially that using that, the fact that you have your partner, you know, you have these sexual urges towards your partner, but using it in a positive manner, using it to drive yourselves to be the best version of yourselves, rather than using sex for what it is now and packaged now, not only from porn, but also music, for example.
For sure.
Also from, sort of our celebrities, so-called celebrities and influencers that we see now.
Puppets. We'll call them puppets.
Yeah, and what is promoted as freedom and promoted as this is okay and safe, when in reality is causing a lot of damage to our image, self-image and our image on the world.
Spot on. You remember last year, 2 years ago, they canceled the song, Baby It's Cold Outside? Because it's a classic Christmas song.
No, okay.
Cue the music. It is, Baby It's Cold Outside. It's very slow. It's not like today's rap music. That song kind of mentions, like, I'm going to sneak in and like, it's not rape, but it's like a man saying, I'm going to come and take care of you. I'm going to love you and throw you on the couch kind of thing. But he doesn't even say it like that. I don't know the exact words. You should look up the lyrics after if you're interested. Everybody watching can look this up. That song got canceled the same year, 2021 or 2020, that WAP was the top song. Wet Ass Pussy doesn't get canceled. So when we talk about like it's that, bro. Like a classic about a man taking care of his wife, coming home and on Christmas time, getting on the couch and loving her. But that's gone. But we want to tell little girls that's what you want to go tell the man. Your pussy is the wettest thing in the... This is a problem. That's a bad problem.
This is an X-rated podcast.
I'm just being honest.
I like this. Hey, at the end of the day,
who could argue that? I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
Nobody.
No, 100%.
Nobody.
100%. And I agree with you 100% as well on that as well. It's interesting though, because I feel like, these are the topics that are like taboo. People try and shy away from, especially in my culture, for example. They very much will not talk about sex or drugs or any issues that they face.
You should have known having me on here, bro. I was not holding back.
No, I have no issues with it.
I know you don't. That's why I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, 100%. That's why, like, my family or like family friends will be like, oh, man.
Give them a preview before you put this episode to them, okay? Make sure they know what they're getting into.
No, let them.
Let them.
Give them the shock.
Bro, when we, I think the shock to some people is what they need.
No, it is.
When
like,
we shelter these ideas, when we shelter our opinion, bro, who are you afraid of canceling you? Nobody. I'm not. I put up a video on Instagram, a funny video from our bloopers last time we shot those videos, and I said, this is gay, or something about like, this is even gayer. And people were like, you're going to get canceled. I'm like, no, I'm not. You can't cancel me. I don't have a boss. You can unfollow me, but like, you can't take me off the internet for saying the word gay. That's where people's heads are at now.
Isn't the definition of gay, or used to be anyway, just happy?
Yeah.
It used to be anyway.
Yeah.
So this is happy.
Dude, and it's screwed up because, like, when I grew up, I would joke around with my friends and call them a faggot or call them, like, it didn't mean anything. You know why? Another moral I was raised with. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but...
Words will never hurt me.
What happened? Words hurt everybody now. Everybody is hurt by words, especially traders. When traders on the internet talk to each other, if I say one thing that pisses Kyle off, he's going to either block me, mute me, or curse me out with a bunch of flipping off emojis.
He's going to fight you. That's what he's going to do.
Fight Club. So I think to make it about traders too, like, stop letting other people's words, like, oh, someone comes and tells you your strategy sucks, prove them wrong. Sticks and stones, bro. Words don't hurt unless you're a little girl. That's how I feel. It's so frustrating nowadays. So.
No, I get you. Because obviously there's so much where people just put too much emphasis on what other people are saying and other people's thoughts and opinions, and it's just a waste of time, waste of energy, especially when you're going through your journey, which obviously talking about your journey, you're obviously now consistently profitable, and what was that process like of what did you change? What were the main aspects that you changed, whether it's mindset, technical, whatever it is, to transition from losing to winning?
I kept learning. So I still, like we've talked about, I consume a lot of information about traders. I look to learn from every trader. I look at, this is going to come as a shock to some people, but I watch what Paladin says, who's like 10 years younger than me. What's he talking about with his ICT stuff? You don't think I have guys in my mentorship that have seen ICT and do imbalances? Of course I do. I want to hear from everybody, right? So I stay learning. This is more important than the third one. Second one, I built a business that was making me money that made it easier to trade. I didn't need the money from my trading. I had my DJ business, and then I had my education trading business. Like, I had other streams of income, which made trading a lot easier, gave me the space to learn. And then I think another one that I should have done sooner was get funded. Getting funded 2.5 years ago was a good decision for me. And now I'm almost up to $1 million in funded. It's a no-brainer. Like, if you're a new trader, getting funded is the answer. I remember I heard him saying before I sat down that he has just been trading for 8 years, 10 years, something like that? And you said you just touched a funded account for the first time 2 years ago? I think that is it. Like, great traders that then can get that skill set and then tap into the capital. Because, I mean, I think if you ask that question in a different way, what's the biggest problem that new traders, like, undercapitalization held me back. Undercapitalization holds traders back. Nobody wants to admit it, though, because everybody starts out broke. Nobody wants to be like, I'm broke, help me. Nobody says that. But if you admit that, you can use these funding companies and they will help you. But where I had to invest money in education courses and education in the market and lose a bunch of money, like I said, you could just invest your money in education and then buy a funding challenge, and then you don't have to put a bunch of money in the market. And especially for tax purposes, when you make money in America, I mean, I'm sure it's similar in the UK. You make money here. If I want a 500 grand trading account, I have to earn 500 grand. So I'm going to get taxed on that. Okay, we put the money in there. I trade it. I make money. You pay tax on it again. Double tax. You do it with a funding company, you don't have that. You get paid out as ordinary income. Yeah, it's the tax once. And then if you have a business around your trading like we do, you can write off everything, and then you make it look like you make no money. Like the IRS makes. I don't make much money. Don't. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's true, but like they allow you to structure things in a certain way.
Correct.
It's not like you're doing anything malicious.
No.
It's structured in a way according to their rules.
This is the game. Play the game. You want to play the game? Buy real estate. Buy the kind of real estate that the government wants you to buy. Housing. If you provide housing, what does the government do? Tax incentives. You just got to know the game. Like, I hate when everybody was pissed at Donald Trump for not paying taxes. Only people with a broke mindset are pissed about that. Anybody that runs a business knows the dude is not paying taxes because he knows the game. How many lawyers?
Why are you getting annoyed at him when there's all these other corporations
that pay no tax?
Zero.
because they moved to Ireland or China. Get mad at them. Yeah. I think that you got to know the game.
Yeah.
So like with trading, I think a lot of traders should be paying attention to, like I talked with a guy in our mentorship group earlier this week. He was like, how do I set this up for taxes once I get paid out? And I say, first, find a good accountant. Every trader should find a good accountant. But once you do that, there's a lot of different ways you can set this up to make it tax effective for you based on whatever else you have going on. Some guys do consulting on the side. Maybe you could pull those two together and have a big S Corp that owns multiple LLCs. All the income can then be distributed through that. You could take a salary, take distributions tax-free. I got a lot of ideas because I've gone through it. We had to learn. So I think it's like, as a new trader too, don't ignore those business aspects of your trading. This is not just clicking at a chart. Yeah.
Did you, at the beginning though, like before you acquired that knowledge in terms of the corporation setups and being tax efficient,
paid an arm and a leg in taxes? That's what I did.
Exactly. Yeah, so you learned
the hard way. Paid $100,000 in taxes basically in 2019 or 2020. Was ready to, bro. When I saw the bill, I was like, okay, we're gonna defer.
So God changed.
We could have paid it off, but it would have been cash broke almost. So I was like, we're not gonna go cash broke. We deferred it that year. That was the year we had started to set up the S Corp, owning the LLC and our salary and everything. The next year, it was like so much nicer because now the way we have it set up is I take a very small salary from my S Corp. Every 2 weeks, money goes from our LLC to the S Corp. And then me and my wife both take a small salary. And any extra money we need from the business, we take as a distribution, which is tax-free. And anything that we can, the business pays for. Like, for example, my rent, because of the size of my office, my rent is paid for by my business. My lease on my Tesla, paid for by my business. So there's certain things, if I had bought the car because of something about like I don't drive for work and it isn't over a certain weight limit, I wouldn't have gotten the tax benefit. So it's like lease or buy, can't say. You have to know your personal situation.
Exactly.
S Corp LLC, you got to know your personal situation.
But that's why you have to go do that research
and
acquire the account.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can introduce, I mean, honestly, everybody, if you're listening, hopefully this does not get 300K views and everybody hits me up about the account. I hope it gets 300K, but not for the accountant. But if you listen this far in and you need an accountant, I can introduce you to a guy. Just reach out to me. I don't just say that to promote him. He's really good. Very nice guy.
That'd be for the US?
US. Yeah, US traders only. Good call.
That's it. You're going to get people from the UK messages.
Yeah. No.
Well, that's one of my aims actually, is to find an accountant who's like well versed in sort
bring
of
it in-house
investing and not even just in-house, get them on the pod.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Know? The hardship is obviously that the audience is widespread,
yes.
so it's not universal. But hopefully, I can find someone who has a basic understanding of how like the US works, or how just generally might be like universal advice to look into. Just because that's a very common question. I'm sure you get it a lot as well. It's like, how do you do taxes? How do you do structure?
And it's a good question. It's good to be thinking about that.
Exactly. And a lot of people do say like, why don't people just be open about it? But the reality is, look, as you said, everyone's situation is different. Yep. There is no right or wrong, like one fixed way of doing it. And thirdly, you don't want to get in trouble, even though it's completely well within, the structure, as we've said. Like it's been set up in a way that they've given you these rules to follow. It's still you don't want to play with fire.
No, because you can commingle funds. That's an issue. You can think things are business expenses.
You might do things accidentally.
Yeah, it's accidentally. Like for example, a lot of people think business expenses are automatically business deductions. Well, that is not the case. Your business can pay for certain things, but not everything is a write-off. Not everything is a deduction from your overall income at the end of the year that you will pay tax on. So it's knowing, is this a business expense? Like I have a boat club membership. Can my business pay for that so it comes out of the account with all the cash? Yeah. But is it a write-off? No, because you can't write off entertainment anymore. That stopped in 2018. Back in the early 2000s, bro, like Wolf of Wall Street, you could be like, anything is entertainment for the business. Yeah. That's how businesses used to get away with a lot. So they changed the tax code all the time. So that's why having somebody in your corner is vital.
100%. And as part of your journey, you interviewed a lot of traders as well.
I have.
And you've You've interviewed some really incredible people, people I haven't heard of, but they have incredible stories. I know there was someone recently who, was trading during the 9/11.
Yep. Boris.
Exactly. And it's incredible to hear and hear these different stories. And what has it been for you? Because obviously my notion in terms of podcasting is that I get to speak to people I look up to. I get to learn so much. But what is it for you?
Not so much that, to be honest. It's more I want to share. Like, it's what I wish I would have had when I got started. I wish I would have had one podcast that I could go to and sit and just listen to experienced traders. So Chat with Traders was big, but they do like one episode a month. I'm doing 2 a week. Every 5 days I give people a new episode. You do a lot as well. I don't know. Are you on a schedule for your posting or just
I just do one a week?
Yeah,
one a week
as you can. Yeah. So I did that last year. It brought in a lot of good attention for the business. So we decided to double down. Now we do one every 5 days. So it's like, I'm only doing it selfishly. I am not doing it in the sense to like provide the answers to traders that they've never had. No, because everything these guys tell me is already written in books somewhere. You'll get a couple of times, like with Lucci or with Boris, where they'll give you something they've never said before, and it's like a one-liner, and it's cute, and it sticks.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I'm only doing it because I know there's new traders that need a resource, and I think people trust me, like they trust you, enough so that if I bring somebody on that they've never heard of, they'll listen, like you did with Boris. That's the thing. I think if people trust you, and then you can introduce them to new information, they trust you even more. And then whatever comes of that is fine. I don't make any money on my podcast. I don't know if you do on ads or anything yet. My YouTube sucks when it comes to revenue. I don't know if it's because I made videos a couple of years ago about like China and I got blackballed or whatever. When I try to put ads on my videos I have before, don't make any money. So I took that away. I don't even have a sponsor for my podcast. And we're doing like 3,000 to 5,000 listeners every episode. I could easily get a sponsor, but I don't because I don't need that money. That's not what I'm doing it for, like you said. So I'm really just doing it to get this information all in one place so that if I could go back in a time machine to when I started trading, I could see all these guys, legends, all in one place. You know, now there's a couple of guys that I have not gotten yet that I want, that I know you're trying to get. We won't say their names yet, but like there's a few that I probably can't touch. But bro, I'm having Brian Shannon, the Anchor VWAP guy. He's coming on the show. I had Foose on the show. I have Steve Burns coming on the show. Tom Basso, who ran a $300 million hedge fund. I'm very close to Mike Bellafiore and a bunch of these guys. I'm one step away from basically anybody. I've met Dr. Steenbarger, so I'm sure I could get him on again. So I really feel like there's nobody that I can't get on the show other than the people like Tom Dante who say they don't come on the show. But if you get him and I don't, bro.
Make sure if you ever say his name as well, make sure you just go Dante. That's our new thing. And
all right.
One day he will disappear.
If you get him, I won't be too disappointed. If anybody else gets him other than you or me, I'm going to be pissed. Because it's either got to be you or me.
100%.
That's it.
It will happen, man. It will happen. The thing is with some of these people is that it's not that they're untouchable in terms of, or unreachable, should I say. It's just that because they are who they are, they're very efficient. They're very much focused on what they're doing. So I respect that. I don't want to disturb their flow. All I will do is pester them in a respectful manner and very, sort of timed and spread out so that they just remember when they're ready,
you're there
and they'll come.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's all I do. So like, I'll never like
roll up to their house and be like, hey, get on the podcast, Tom.
Stand
Come outside, Tom.
Yeah. But no, like, with Dante, for example, is literally just like, so many people have mentioned him now.
Yep.
So I'm like, interested. It's like ICT. I know probably ICT won't do it.
No.
But I'll always just mention it from time to time.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, of course.
What's up with the fake story about him getting kidnapped and everything? Like, because this is why I think people...
Sam KV, did he tell you the same story?
Sam said this to me, bro, on my podcast, and I was like, Sam admits that the stuff ICT talks about is great for a new trader. Like and I don't disagree. I haven't watched a lot of it, but I don't disagree. It's better than baby pips. But why sprinkle in that stupid marketing story? Like, why not come up with a real, like, just tell the truth? The truth is always, I think, what people can believe more often, even if the fake story creates more attention. So do you want attention or do you want to be believed? I don't know.
It's a tough one, because I think it's very polarizing. It was the first I heard of it when he mentioned it on the podcast.
Kidnapped by the market makers, and then they took him and told him how to do it.
Parsons, yeah. It was an interesting one, honestly. And like you said, I don't know, it's a tough one because, like, I hadn't heard that before, and then you see the value, you see the impact. Like, we've had, Paladin, Kyle, Omar, all trading those same concepts, all funded, all making.
That's why I'm like, why the story?
Yeah, I think, the podcast that I've seen him do recently, he did talk about, doing polarizing stuff. Now, obviously, the kidnapping side of things, like that story, isn't really too polarizing, but it's entertaining, I guess.
Yeah.
And it kind of feeds into the narrative. At the end of the day, what I understand about marketing and what I understand about building a name for yourself, it's kind of like, let's think like WWE, right? Or even boxing. Like, there's what gathers the attention is like being the heel, right? Yes. So like that, even though you might turn into the bad guy, so like Roger Banks, same principle, right? You can be known as the bad guy, but you're going to have the eyes on you, at the same time. So you don't care. So like with, and if you have value, it's even better. Obviously, as we've talked about, you don't need to do that. It's up to you if you want to do that. But let's say, like with Raja, he has value. Like ICT, he has value, right? So if you want to do the heel as well, like this different narrative on top of the value, that I don't disagree with.
Sure.
It's only the issue when I find is when people have no value.
And all story.
Just all story. They're the ones that we can't, or not that we can't, but like I don't agree with.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't understand the story. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm excited to see when it comes out, because like my issue isn't, I don't want to, like think or put across that ICT, look, this is you, you need to answer to this or anything like that. But it's more so like, this is the narrative, this is this person's understanding of you, or this is this person's opinion of you. Equally, I have people who like, obviously have done very, very well with ICT, speak very, very highly of ICT. And that's the thing with a podcast, is you're getting a mixture of opinions. Like we talked about today about, male and female roles. There's going to be someone who comes on the podcast, no doubt, who will completely disagree with what you said.
100%.
Right? And will sit there and say, Austin Silver's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But the reality being, that's their opinion.
It's their opinion.
And so with that one, I'm very, very interested to see.
Those are the people that I watch out for the most. When people disagree with you and then they get angry and negative, that is their own insecurity.
Yeah.
I worry about those people. It means they're not confident in their own belief system, and my belief system challenges them to the point of being uncomfortable.
I think at the end of the day, healthy discussion is fine.
Dialogue, you know where we get the best information, bro? Debate.
Yeah, 100%.
Good.
My aim is to have, this is the roundtable, we did our first roundtable. My aim is to be able to have like Austin Silver, Raja Banks, ICT, someone else.
You tell Raja, bro, I'll sit down whenever.
We're going to do it. I think right now we've got like a queue. We got a queue of like...
I think everybody wants a piece of him. I don't think anybody wants a piece of me as much.
No.
But you know what? It made me think of something. Maybe listen, if anybody wants to smoke, let's go.
Kyle, where are you? Where's the promotion?
When I got started in trading, it's easy to get roped into the story.
Yeah.
It's easy to get roped into it and think that you found the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they play to that direction, to those people. So I can get that. But like you said, it's got to come from a place of real value first. That is always the standard. It has to come from, okay, you can have value, now be polarizing, like you were telling me before the podcast, I was also kind of alluding to this point of like, there's so much value in your story. And I believe this about myself. So I have a piece of my story that I've never told anybody. I'm not going to say it today. Sorry.
Grab it out of
you. Bro. I have a piece of my story that I just haven't shared yet. I'm going to write a book about it. It's going to be the title of my book. I'm going to use that part of my story to further myself and my family. I don't understand why I had that thought and other people don't, other than the fact that they don't like or believe in themselves and their story enough. My story is real. The losses, the trials, the tribulations, the success, the money, the wins, it's all real. Like, it's all happened. So I feel like it has the most value. Even if I could create a story that would be better, the real thing, even though it's not as exciting to me, because like I'm still sitting here and I'm still fine. When someone hears the thing, like the whole story, they'll understand. Like, they'll be like, "Wow, that's amazing! How are you still in trading? How did you do?" The real story, I think, actually tends to win, which is why I don't understand the fluff. I don't get it.
No, I understand. 100%. No, I get you, because I feel like maybe sometimes they want to try something different. They might think, "Oh, this might be better," or as I said, they're creating a character. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Maybe sometimes they might feel like they're not interesting enough, or that people won't like them for who they are. So let's create this narrative instead, because I know that narrative will probably work, So like with the whole ghost in the machine, or I've touched an algorithm, for example, again, I can respect it, And if you can back it up with value, and you can at least, try and reflect it in the value that you're giving. So like with him, for example, being able to say, do live trading, right? And then call these trades, and then be able to back that up and say, hey, I've touched the algorithm. This is proof. Fair enough, right? If that's what you want to do, no problem, right? That's completely up to you. Like, at the end of the day, as long as you're trying to be positive, that's what matters. But I personally, and similar with yourself, just have of the belief of just be yourself. And
you know what it prevents? If you're yourself, if you Google me right now, Austin Silver scam, one video, it's this girl who ties me into the astrological stuff, and I'm a scammer because of like Sagittarius is in retrograde.
Really?
Swear to God, go watch it. She talks about how I interviewed Tom Basso, the $300 million guy from Trendstat. Real hedge fund, very Googleable, very findable. Tom is legit. He worked at Monsanto as an engineer. Monsanto is a company that people have a lot of bad feelings about because of their spraying on chemicals and shit, right? So she ties him into it, and how we're both like devil worshippers, and we're looking to kill everybody. I had a guy come to me yesterday who just signed up for our mentorship program, and he goes, "Bro, I Googled you. and you're the only trader that I've ever, like, because I offer people to book 10-minute calls with me. I don't want them to just sign up for the mentorship. I want to talk to you to see if it's going to be a good fit. He goes, bro, I Googled you, and the only thing I found about Austin Silver's scam is this one girl. And I said, I know. That, to me, is what honesty, transparency, realism, that's what it gets you. I've now built this business where I don't have anyone that's able to come and say that I scammed them.
Yeah.
I'm more proud of that than anything else, bro.
100%.
Anything else. You Google Raja's broker, they're red flagged by the CFTC in America. I don't remember. Do you know the name of it? Dominion Markets, I think is what it is. Yeah. Red flagged. Uncle Ted, I'm pretty sure he's like non-existent anymore. Like when you search the scam, it's nonstop videos and reviews of people calling him a scam. You search the same thing for ICT. Scam. Guys that devote their whole hour, 2-hour long videos to saying why they're a scam. People don't have that from me. What is the difference? The only difference is I'm sure both of Raja and ICT have made money trading just like me, but I didn't fluff it up.
Yeah.
I'm just me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what prevents me from having those scammy reviews, which has always been my fear in this industry. The only thing that sets me apart is the transparency, is the good reviews. Anybody could do good marketing with a Ferrari or a story or a this or a that or bullying people. You know what you can't fake? 150, 250, 500 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
You cannot fake real success from other real people. And that's what I always felt like this is what is going to build my business. Real people working with me, making more money, not some story. It's easy.
I think it's both sides, as you say. So, like, you know, the positives of doing a story is you will gain maybe faster traction, as you talked about earlier, right?
The spike.
The negative is that with that your huge spike, you're going to get the opposite side of the negativity, you know, these reviews, these scam claims, etc. Regardless of whether it's true or not, you're going to get that. Versus the other side where it might be slower, but it's, you know, the comparison will be like, the hate will be very minimal in comparison, right?
Exactly.
So very, very interesting.
Like we said, build the tallest building by tearing everybody else down and then building a small little building and being like, I'm the best.
Yeah.
Or just build the tallest building and let that success speak for itself. Let everybody watch you over 10 years grind.
Yeah.
Never beef, never pick fights, never do anything like that and still succeed. That's the win. That's what I feel like is the win. Because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
Beef and dramas and stories, they pass, bro. We could sit here and talk about you worked at Astro, bro. We talked about on my show. We could talk about every scam and every beef and story that Sean was getting into with where is it now, bro? Nobody cares about the beef. But if you build a real business behind your brand, it lasts longer than any fight or any story can ever do.
100%.
And I do believe your story is important, but not dramatizing it, not blowing it out of proportion, because it's not relatable then. Nobody relates to ICT being kidnapped. It's just fun to think it's real.
People don't know about it, to be fair.
Huh?
Yeah, people don't even know about it. Well, they will. They're going to find out now.
Yeah, I didn't know until Sam told me. Like, and then you're just like, but why not just tell us, like, your real name is Fred, you live in Ohio or whatever, and, like, this is your story.
Yeah.
Like, just tell it, make it relatable. Relatability is where we as humans connect.
100%.
If you aren't relatable, why would I even listen to you? That's why I don't listen to Raja or ICT. I know they're blocked. Not blocked, but, like, I don't follow them. I don't see their shit because it's not believable. It's not relatable. Cool. You could be that. You could be that. You could be that. But if it's not, like, relatable, no one's
bothered by it.
No,
Yeah.
you're the fantasy. And then when somebody's been in the game for a long time, they don't want the fantasy anymore. They want the real deal.
Yeah.
The real, what is the reality of it? And you do, I told you I gave you flowers at the beginning, I give you flowers at the end, bro. You do a really good job at keeping it 100. Like, there's not many guys I feel like us, like, that are just honest. Like, how many guys are going to come on here and be like, I fucked all the bitches in the world. And I'm on here telling you, like, I've only had sex with less than 10 girls. You got to keep it real with people. You know how many guys listening probably have had sex with less than 5 girls? A lot. You know what I mean? And when they hear me say that, they're going to trust me more. Without even thinking I trust that guy. Because it's relatable, they will trust me more. And I know that.
The opposite, yeah.
Versus you tell the fake story, now I have reasons to believe you're lying.
Yeah. No, I get you. No, 100%. And, you know, that's what we hope for. You know, we hope for is to just provide us the reality, the actual journey, the real truth of you know, how we're living, how we operate, you know, the hardship, more importantly, of what we've gone through. And hopefully people can just relate to it.
And be humble with where you're at. I would tell every new trader listening, stay humble. I never, like, the guys that I consider the best traders, the people that I've had on the podcast, they never talk to me just about their wins. If anything, they will only talk about their losses, or they will talk about their losses first and then their wins. The humble trader survives, and the trader who survives will thrive.
Love that. Love that. And yeah, we are at the end now, so we're going to just do a quick fire questions, maybe 1 or 2. First one's the one that I do with everyone, which is that if you could meet anyone in the past, right? You know, alive, dead, anyone present as well. But you could just sit down with them. Who would you want to meet?
Definitely Nikola Tesla. Has anybody said that before?
No, not yet. I know why.
I'm very interested in his infinite energy field and the electricity and how the government took his files when he died. And we don't see any of those inventions as much anymore. I believe that person, him, is where we can start to see in history a smaller group of people, government, whatever you want to call it, society, trying to keep us as a mass away from certain information. Where we were close, we were almost available to give it to everybody, but certain people don't want us all to have it. And we're going to live through what I think is going to be a big transformation. Just a side note for a second. People think about, is the dollar losing its hegemony? I don't even think it's going to matter. I think a new form of energy is coming, and that's going to take the place of oil and electricity and gasoline and all that. Shift everything beyond what people can even think about right now. Why would it matter if the petrodollar is dominant or not if we're not even using oil as much? That's what I'm saying. So it's going to be a curveball that a lot of people don't see, except the people that listen all the way through here and take my idea and go do some research. I think that his research is going to start coming out more and more. I've seen people talking about. So I would love to meet Tesla.
Incredible. No, I can understand why. I can understand why indeed. And we'll just do one final one then. Final one is like, if you just want to address the camera here and, your advice to traders going through the journey at the moment, going through that, the boom and bust cycle, of just up and downs and not really getting that consistency, your best advice to them.
The best advice I could give any trader who is struggling, not just to find consistency, but just to live to the fullest potential of their trading, would be block out the noise, block out the people with the fake stories, the distractions, the fluff. Block out the people in your family who don't believe in your future, and double down on yourself. Start consuming everything with an unbiased, open-minded perspective. Is it right? Is it wrong? Doesn't matter. What can we take that we like? What can we take that we don't like? And make it your own. Find your niche and you will find success, especially in trading. No one can copy you and do what Riz does exactly. They can take stuff from you and me and combine it into their own thing and make it successful. So find your niche, block out the noise, and double down on yourself.
100%. I love that. And I thank you again for flying out here. And then it's been a very interesting podcast.
Very interesting, very fun, very entertaining. Hopefully I didn't piss off too many feminists or Raja or ICT, because I don't want to piss anybody off. I just have strong opinions about my beliefs. And I appreciate you giving me a platform to share it, bro.
Always.
And I will return the favor with our episode in a couple of weeks.
Definitely. No, I'm excited for that to drop as well. Talking of which, make sure you check out in the description below, all the links for Austin, ASFX. They will all be in there. Thank you again for tuning in. And make sure you comment, obviously, your biggest takeaway, some of the polarizing opinions. Let us know your thoughts. But thank you as always. And until next time, take care.